Congratulations! By purchasing this videotape, you've made a decision to step up to the next level in videography. This presentation was prepared to teach professional techniques to novice, intermediate, and advanced amateurs like yourselves. To illustrate this, we've divided this instructional tape into 6 important segments. First, prepare before you shoot. This segment will familiarize you with the camera and help you understand the importance of building a pre-production checklist. Second, shooting techniques, a comprehensive guide to how a professional approaches the art of videography. Third, the elements of storytelling, understanding how to visually build scenes, then using these techniques to tell a story. Fourth, creative shooting, adding inventive and imaginative elements to your shooting repertoire. Fifth, handheld techniques, the art of shooting without a tripod. And sixth, pro tips, inside information that'll enhance your shooting and production skills. Your instructor for this series is 15-year network videographer Rodney McMahon. Mr. McMahon is a member of all 3 camera unions, IBEW, the International Photographers Guild, and NABET. He's traveled the world working for various news organizations like 60 Minutes, ABC and CBS News, and has filmed or videoed many prestigious events, such as the Super Bowl, the NBA All-Star Game, the Academy Awards, the Grammys, the MTV Music Awards, and he's also the personal documentary cameraman for superstar Michael Jackson.
Welcome to Secrets of the Professional Videographer. On this tape, I'll share my 15 years of experience to help you become a better videographer. All the information you receive on this tape can be applied to any camcorder. Our first segment, prepare before you shoot.
It's essential to build a pre-production checklist. It can prevent or eliminate unnecessary setbacks that might occur during the production. When shooting in the field, batteries are your primary source of power. So how do you determine if your battery has retained its charge? Write down your battery's last charge date on a piece of gaffer's tape. Tear off the tape and place it over the battery terminals. It'll serve as a quick and easy reminder of your battery's status and will also protect them from coming into contact with metal and inadvertently discharging. The next point of concern is the lens. Check the surface of your lens and make sure it's free of dust, dirt, spots, and fingerprints. Always keep lens cleaner and tissue handy for this purpose. Also, a can of compressed air is invaluable for the elimination of dust and dirt. These items can be purchased at any photography store. Next on our checklist, the viewfinder. The surface of the viewfinder should also be kept clean. A dirty viewfinder will impair your vision and hamper your ability to focus. Always clean your viewfinder before you begin shooting. An often overlooked part of the viewfinder is the diopter. The diopter is the glass element that focuses the viewfinder. It can and should be adjusted to each operator's vision requirements. But remember, the diopter can be easily moved. So safeguard your setting by placing a piece of black gaffer's tape around it. Now it's time to discuss the functions. The camcorder operation mode can be placed in either the manual or automatic setting. When the camera is set in the automatic mode, all exposure, focusing, and white balancing are done internally. Although this is a convenient feature, we strongly suggest the manual setting. It allows you to readily adjust your camera to ever-changing photographic conditions. Again, to safeguard your camera settings, cover them with a piece of gaffer's tape. This diminishes the amount of things that can go wrong and slow down production. Next up, focusing. It's essential to use the manual focus because it's impossible to execute many of the techniques on this tape in the automatic mode. Also, exposure settings should be set to manual. This ensures against fluctuating exposures on your video. This first shot is an example of using the automatic mode. And now in this shot, we're using the manual mode.
Okay, one thing we wanted to point out, as you can see, the sky, that's what your iris is reacting to, your exposure setting, the automatic setting. Manual setting, as you can see, it was already exposed. I'm going to play that again because I want you to see this. I want to make a point of this. I expose, here we go, here. I expose here for the bridge prior to starting. So what I want you guys to do, you have to use your manual iris setting, your manual exposure setting. It's very important. This will always come up. For professionals, for novice, you will always have a problem when you have too much sky or something that's brighter in your background than your foreground. To compensate, you need to use your manual setting. That way you can adjust the setting. You can make the minor adjustments to get a proper exposure.
Camcorders also have an important function known as white balancing, which can also be set manually or automatically. White balancing is used to obtain a natural color balance for recordings. Setting your white balance manually enables you to maintain the truest colors possible in any situation. Now, this brings us to audio. In the hectic pace of video production, audio can often be overlooked. So to ensure your microphone is connected properly, tap the mic and make sure your meters move. Also, since most camcorders are not set up to monitor the sound you're recording, it's very important to purchase an earpiece. It's the only way you'll positively know you're recording sound without stopping and playing back.
Now, we'll go over shooting techniques, methods that are easy to learn and will further enhance your skills.
The foundation of good shooting is getting your basic shots. The first basic shot is your wide shot, then your medium shot, close-up, and extreme close-up.
Okay, the shots you just watched are what we call the basic shots. These are the shots that you must go out and get first, okay? Good shooting needs a strong foundation. Whenever you pick up your camera, the thing you gotta remember is that you become a storyteller. And in order to tell a good story, you need a good shooting foundation. So your basic shots are the first shots that you need to focus on. You need to go in, get your wide shot, establish your scene, then get your medium shot, which will bring the audience closer to the story. Then you go in and get your close-up and your extreme close-up, which will then give them more detail about your story. But the thing you got to focus on is that you are now a storyteller.
Again, wide shot, medium shot, close-up, and extreme close-up. A shot should have a beginning, a middle, and an end. The beginning is when you frame your subject and hold the camera steady. The middle is the action. The shot is completed when the action ends and a few seconds of pad are added to the end of the shot.
The thing we're trying to point out here, every shot is important. And that's how you have to approach it. Every shot has its own importance. So you have to take your time. Try not to rush when you shoot. If you're in a place that you may not go to again, like in this case, New York City, you want to bring home that beautiful shot, right? But what you have to do is make sure that you take your time, get the beginning of that shot, get the middle of that shot, and put an ending on that shot. Most of the things that you do shoot will have to be put together in some form or fashion. Some type of editing will be used, and it's what we call assemble editing. So what you will do is assemble this at a later date. Even if it's just your camcorder and your VCR, but you will assemble these shots. And so what you want to do is make sure you have a beginning, a middle, and an end to your shot. And every shot is important.
When shooting outdoors, it's important to leave as little to chance as possible. Accordingly, controlling your environment is key to successful outdoor shooting. The best times to shoot are sunrise, early morning, late afternoon, and sunset. Shaded areas will also give your subjects an even wash of light. But the perfect time to take advantage of natural light is 1 hour before sunset. This is known in the business as golden hour for its warm golden light. Every professional relishes this time of day. However, always avoid shooting around midday or in bright sunlight. It can cause heavy shadows beneath your subject's eyes, which is commonly known as raccoon eyes.
When to shoot, when not to shoot. One of the better times of day to shoot is early morning. Another good time to shoot is late afternoon. Another good time is sunset. Midday is going to cause you some problems. You're going to get heavy shadows, and if your subject is a person, you're going to get these raccoon eyes underneath the eyes, heavy shadows underneath the eyes. If you have a birthday party, take that party underneath a tree. Take that party in a shaded area. Try to utilize a lot of the shaded area during that midday time. You'll eliminate a lot of the heavy shadows that type of light is going to cause because the sun is directly over your head. So our best advice here is that take some control of your environment, be aware of where the sun is, and adjust accordingly. At this point, you should understand how your camera works. Now, you must think before you shoot.
An important element of storytelling is the establishing shot. Here, it clearly distinguishes the location, London's famed Big Ben. After you've established your scene, the insert shot establishes the action within that scene. These shots help you tell your story. Remember, videography is moving pictures, and movement will bring your shots to life.
Storytelling involves using your basics. You need to go back to what we said earlier, use those basic shots. Get your wide shot, which is now the establishing shot. You want to get that establishing shot, and remember, you're shooting for an audience. So the establishing shot shows the audience where they are, what's going on. Then you take the insert shot or the medium shot and you bring your audience into your story. Then they get to see what's happening in the story. They get to see some of the action in the story. Then you bring in your close-up shots, and then you bring in your creative shots, and then they get a more detailed look at your story. So the thing you want to always keep in mind is you are now a storyteller. You need to use the strong foundation to tell your story. Use your establishing shot to take the people to your location. Use your insert shots, your medium shots to take them into your story. And once they're in your story, use those creative shots, use those close-up shots to further detail your story.
Sequential shooting. Shooting your subject from different angles enables you to continue a sequence without breaking the flow of action. This makes editing easier and also makes your videos more interesting and compelling to watch. Cutaways allow you to break away from the main action without disrupting the flow of the story.
I had a lot of fun shooting that segment. The thing to keep in mind when shooting sequentially is to first get your basic shots. Get your establishing shot, your medium shot, your close-up shot. Establish your basic shots, then go in and try to be creative. Now to shoot sequentially, you need to match shots. That means shoot the very same shot from different angles. That means also you'll have to have the cooperation of your subject, controlling your environment. Therefore, he will repeat some of the actions you need to build your sequence. So remember, first get your basics, then you have to shoot the very same shots from different angles and vary those shots, wide, medium, and close-up. Then you have to have the cooperation of your subject. Once you have all these elements in hand, then you can start to build a sequence.
Now let's take another look at that weightlifting sequence.
In our next segment, we'll teach you how to execute a variety of creative shots used every day by professional videographers.
Rack focus is when you shift focus from a subject in the foreground to a subject in the background. Swish pans are used as creative transition shots. To perform this maneuver, pan the camera rapidly from point A to point B. The swish pan can then be edited between two separate shots. Foreground. Having an object in the foreground creates a greater depth of field, making the shot much more interesting and compelling. Here's the Hollywood sign with something in the foreground. And now, the same shot with nothing in the foreground. As you can see, it makes a drastic difference. Now let's take another look at foreground shooting. Dutch angle. Angling the camera askew will produce an unconventional look to your subject matter. This will give your video that hip MTV look. Snap zoom. Instead of using the automatic zoom control, quickly zoom in and out manually to execute a snap zoom. Macro. On most cameras, you must be 2 to 3 feet away from your subject to retain a focus. But by utilizing the macro function, it enables you to clearly focus inches away from your subject. High shots give you an elevated overview of your subject. Compression. This is a wide shot of a crowd. Although it fills the frame, it's not very interesting. But by zooming in, you'll compress the shot, making it more dense and vibrant. A low-angle shot changes the perspective of your viewer, making the subject matter seem more powerful and dominating. Continuous shot is when one shot continues and incorporates a variety of others in a long, continuous shot. This technique is important when shooting live action, such as this London parade, and your movement is restricted.
This was a very interesting situation. I was locked in one position, I was in London, and I wanted to tell the story of the Queen's Guards. The best way I could tell that story was to use a continuous shot. As we said earlier, it incorporates varied shots so you can tell your story. And so the main point always is you're telling a story. Now, if you use a continuous shot in this case, I'm able to take my establishing shot, take my medium shot, in other words, establish it, go into the story, bring the audience into the story, let them see what's happening in the story, then go for my close-up, my extreme close-ups, to further detail the story. So in this particular case, the best thing to do was to use the continuous shot. Remember, shooting is going to involve a lot of problem solving. And the best way to solve a lot of these problems is to be equipped with the techniques that you need so you can have them in your mind and you know when the case comes up, and it's always case by case. So when the case comes up, you know how to react to it.
As you can see, this sequence incorporates a wide shot. A pan left to right. A zoom in to a medium shot of marching feet. A tilt up to a medium shot. A pull out to a wide shot. A push in to a medium shot. Tilt down to another medium shot. And finally, a tilt up and pull out to a wide shot. Reveal shots start on unrelated subject matter like these birds flying by, only to unveil your true focus, the New York skyline. And here's yet another example of a reveal shot. The Tower Bridge of London. Moving shots add creativity to your video, making it fresh and exciting. Backpedaling. To add movement to your shot, sometimes you'll have to walk backwards. It's important to have someone guide you, but if you're alone, be extremely careful where you're going. There are various ways of shooting without a tripod. One is to place the camera on the ground. This will give you a steady, stable shot. Or, when shooting in difficult situations, cradle the camera in your lap. And yet another technique is for the shooter to become a human tripod. This is accomplished by supporting oneself against a stationary object, such as a wall, light post, or tree. And finally, you can place your elbows comfortably on a table or chair and use them to support your camera.
In this next segment, we'll introduce you to some tools of the trade. These are simple items that I use professionally every day.
First, make a small white card for white balancing. Foam core is excellent because it's sturdy, but any similar material will do just as well. Keep this card with you at all times. It'll save you in a jam. Second, Always have on hand a roll of gaffer's tape. It'll come in handy from marking your batteries to securing your diopter and cables. Third, carry a mini flashlight with you for those times when a work light is unavailable. Fourth, keep a tape loaded in your camera and be ready to shoot at all times. Fifth, Velcro ties are great to secure cables and all sorts of miscellaneous equipment. When everything is neatly tied and secured in your cases, it's much easier to find what you're looking for. Sixth, the use of a small stepladder can be used to obtain a variety of shooting positions, such as over the crowd shots, and it can also be used as a tripod. And seventh, when you're not shooting, transport your equipment by using a hard case. But when you go out to shoot, you should carry what we professionals call a run bag. It can be a waist bag, as you see here, or any other bag that allows your hands to be free. To achieve smooth tilts and pans, it's important to use a tripod. Lock down your pan and tilt controls, then gradually loosen the tension so there's just enough play for the camera to move fluidly under your control. Try to stay away from tripods with non-fluid heads. They're difficult to operate, making it impossible to achieve smooth movements.
I had a lot of fun producing this tape. I want to point out that I used a consumer Hi8 camera. This is a high-end camera. Don't feel that you need to go out and spend a lot of money on a high-end camera. We've displayed other camcorders that are out on the market. We did that to illustrate the point that there are many camcorders out there, and most of these cameras can achieve the same results as this camera. The thing you should focus on is becoming a better videographer. And to do that, you should start at the beginning. Pre-production. Prepare your camera to shoot. Personalize your camera and make your camera more user-friendly. Also, make sure that you use a pre-production checklist. That way you don't forget any of the camera equipment you need for your production. Once you've done that, then you settle in and then you start getting into the shooting techniques. And you want to start with the basics, the foundation, which is your establishing shot, your medium shot, your close-up shot, and your extreme close-up shot. That's the beginning of storytelling. Once you have the basic elements of storytelling, then you can go in and further detail the story by using the other shooting techniques, the elements of storytelling, and creative shots, the continuous shot, sequential shooting. These are all the different elements of storytelling. So once you've established the basics, then you want to go in and detail the story by using the other elements of storytelling. Now remember, to become a good videographer, it doesn't happen overnight. It takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of patience, and it takes a lot of practice. But the main element is that you should have fun. So you should go out, enjoy yourself, and have a good time.